It's no secret that everyone loves pasta. Today I'm going to show you how to get rid of this and start making your own fresh. Whatever it is you want to make, noodles, filled pastas, lasagna, I'm going to show you how to. Come with me and let's roll some dough. For this pasta recipe, we'll start with 325 grams or 11.5 ounces of all-purpose flour. We will be turning that flour onto a work surface. Then, with the tip of our fingers, we'll create a well in the middle. We'll be adding 9 egg yolks and 1 whole egg in the flour wall. On top of that, we'll also be adding a couple tablespoons, about 1 ounce or 30 grams of whole milk. Now our ingredients are ready to go. With a fork, we'll start mixing in the egg yolks so they break apart, and we'll start adding some of the flour balls into the eggs. We'll use our fork to mix a little bit of eggs with flour, and we'll keep repeating this process until we form a paste. After a couple minutes of mixing with the fork, we'll switch to a bench scraper. This is so we can incorporate the flour more efficiently. Make sure none of that good mixture is left on the fork. We'll start by bringing the flour into the center onto that egg yolk mixture. I want to bring in the flour with a scraper and at the same time incorporate it with the egg mixture. So you want to make a cutting motion to keep incorporating all that dry flour into the egg mixture. We're going to keep repeating this process until all of our flour from the outside is mixed in. At this stage, once all of the flour is incorporated, it should be fairly easy to knead with our hands. So we'll get rid of that scraper and start kneading and bringing everything together with our hands. At first, some parts will feel dry and other parts will feel sticky, but as we keep kneading and incorporating this dough, it'll feel like a more even and will start feeling more like a dough rather than a sticky mess. At this point, the dough has started to come together. We want to scrape all the dry bits off the work surface and make sure we knead those into our dough. No bit of flour should be left behind here. As we knead our dough, some of the dough will be sticking to our hands. All you gotta do is rub your hands together and get all those bits onto the work surface. The dough will pick them up later. Now let's talk about kneading motion for a quick minute. See how I'm bringing one end of the dough, folding it in half, and kneading it towards the work surface, turning it a little bit, bringing another bit into the middle, and kneading it again. That's what you want, that way you can develop gluten evenly all throughout your dough. Now the best way to gather all those dry bits that have been sitting off to the side is to take your dough once it feels a little bit sticky, roll it all over those dry bits, and then keep on kneading. We'll probably have to do this a couple times throughout the kneading process. If after about 10 minutes of kneading, our dough still doesn't feel like it's coming together, feel free to place an upside down mixing bowl on top of it. This is to prevent our dough from drying out while it rests. Now there's a couple reasons why you want to rest this dough. First of all, my arms are getting exhausted. But also, if you let it sit for 5 minutes or so, your flour is going to hydrate and it's going to make kneading so much easier. Give it a try. After about 5 or 10 minutes of resting our dough, you want to get right back at it. Keep kneading that puppy. And if your dough feels a little bit dry, don't be afraid of adding a little bit of water. You don't want to add too much water where you make a soggy mess either, so add about a teaspoon or 5 milliliters at a time. Then keep kneading it for a couple minutes. If it still feels dry, add a little bit more water and just keep on kneading. This is my pasta dough after about 10 minutes of kneading, 10 minutes of resting, 10 more minutes of kneading, and adding about 3 teaspoons of water. Now the reason why I like to start with a drier dough instead of the other way around is because at this point our gluten has been developed pretty substantially. If we were to start with a wet dough, and added flour halfway through the kneading process, the gluten in the flour that we've added halfway through won't be as developed as the gluten we have developed throughout the kneading process. At this point, I can tell that my dough is ready. It's nice and bouncy, it has quite a bit of strength, so I'm going to cover it with a bowl. You can use a plastic bag and let it rest for about half an hour. And now it's time to get rolling. Here I have a little bit of all-purpose flour to roll out our dough, a little bit of semolina. I personally like to store my pasta with semolina so it doesn't stick. I also have a cutting board, a pasta roller with a couple cutting accessories. Here's our pasta about half an hour of being rested. Nice and firm, that's what we're looking for. We'll be taking our pasta and cutting it into 4 equal pieces. The reason for this is we don't want to roll all of our pasta through the machine at once. We'll put 3 pieces off to the side and start with 1 manageable piece. We'll squeeze that down to give the pasta roller a head start. We'll roll it through flour even though we might not need as much because it's quite firm, and we'll set our pasta machine to the widest setting. We might want to pat down that pasta a little bit more just to give the machine a head start. Once we feel confident that pasta will get through the machine, we'll start rolling it. We'll roll it through once, while being quite gentle with the dough. We don't want it to tear. We'll brush off any excess flour and change the setting on the machine to number 2. Roll it out, change it to number 3, and keep going. What we're trying to achieve here is develop that gluten a little bit farther and making sure the pasta is nice and even. All the kneading we've done so far is by hand, so it won't hurt to have a machine help us out. Now at this point, I'm rolling it through setting number 5, the settings on my machine. We'll take our dough and we'll go all the way back to the thickest setting. We'll fold it in 3 just like that, and we'll start the process over again. So we'll roll it through the thickest setting, gradually decreasing the thickness so we can fold it in 3 and acquire the desired widthness of the pasta machine roller. Remember, we're trying to develop the gluten a little bit farther, as well as trying to get a very even and consistent pasta sheet. After we've done this process of stretching it and folding a few times, now it's time to roll it to our desired thickness. Depending on the type of pasta you're making, you'll want to roll it out to a different thickness. In my case, I'll be starting with making tagliatelle. So I want something that's not too thick, too thin, but kinda in the middle. Don't mind my girlfriend in the background, she's probably just trying to clean up after me. Once we've rolled out our pasta to our desired thickness, this one's quite long. Imagine what would have happened if we rolled out the entire batch at once. That pasta sheet would have been about 60 feet long. Plus, whenever I make pasta, I like to make a couple different shapes and store them in the freezer. Now you can see my hand through the pasta, that means it's not too thick or too thin. Now that our pasta has been rolled out to the desired thickness, it's time to cut it. And again, oh hey Kelsey, I'm going to cut it into a little bit more manageable pieces. I'll be cutting this sheet into about 10-inch sections, and then we're going to roll it through the pasta cutter. We'll be feeding our pasta sheets 1 piece at a time through the cutter, and we'll want to make sure we catch them on the other side so they don't get tangled. We'll repeat this process with all the pasta sheets we have rolled out and cut. Once all of our sheets have been cut, we'll make sure we're not leaving any pieces behind. We'll spread them out a little bit and sprinkle them with semolina flour. Then we'll toss them around in semolina flour. Again, this will prevent them from sticking. You can definitely use all-purpose flour, but that will absorb the moisture and over time they will stick together. Not with semolina though. And that's it. All we got left to do now is portion our pasta to whatever portion size we desire and set them off to the side. Continue to roll out the rest of our pasta dough into whichever shape or thickness you desire. Alright, and there you have it. Now you know how to make fresh pasta from scratch, whether you want to make some lasagna, tagliolini, tagliatelle, or any other shape, filled pasta, whatever it is you want to make. Now you know the basics. Comment below what you think I should make next. Like this video, subscribe, and we'll see you guys soon. Thanks for watching.